My name is Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator who loves to play with paper. Today, I get to show you how to make this fun, what I'm calling our bow tie guy card. As you watch my video, I'll be sharing tips to make your paper crafting easier and your projects look great. Let's look at the bundle that we're playing with today. This is the Handsomely Suited stamp set. I really like the 2 Father's Days in here, and can you ever have enough birthday sayings? There's also a thank you and you're the best, something you can use on lots of cards. It gives us 2 different ties and 2 different bow ties, and there's some fun stamping things you can do with those. But today we're going to focus on the dies. This is called the Suit and Tie dies. It includes dies that lets you make some really great suits on the front of cards. And I'm saving that for another day. Today I'm focusing on the things we need to make my bow tie card, which we're going to be using this piece and the bow tie, and I'll show you the pieces I cut first, and then I'll get you started on making the card. But before we make the card front, we're going to talk a little bit about our envelope. We have a saying in my scrapping space, no naked envelopes. And what that means is, if you've gone to the work of making a handmade card for someone, you want them to know, even before they open it, that there's something special inside that envelope. Just think of yourself bringing in a stack of mail. There's going to be bills, there's going to be junk mail, and then there's this interesting envelope that either is stamped on or has some pretty paper attached to the envelope flap. That's the first one you're going to want to open, isn't it? And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. This is a piece that's 2 1/4 by 6. Speaking of numbers, you can find all the numbers you need, what size I cut each of the pieces, and step-by-step directions on my blog, scrappinwithjoni.com. I'll add a link to that right under the video. So that's on. All I did was add a fine line of glue all the way around. Sometimes I just make sure the flap has caught here, and we'll set that aside for now. So let's talk about our card. I've die cut our pieces ahead of time, and we have lots of little pieces here, but the dies make it easy. And what's really nice about the dies is something they've done this time, which I really like, is they've made it even easier for us. So both of the, for lack of a better word, I guess, buckles for my suspender, there's 2 of them. I don't need to run that through twice. And look what they're doing with the buttons. I think they had me in mind. I cut out all 6 buttons at one time, which is great, but what I like even better is the dies are attached, so I can't lose one of these itty bitty dies. All right. So these are the pieces, and I'll go, as I attach them to the card, I'll tell you a little bit more about them. Our card base is a standard 8 1/2 by 11 cut in half. This is my 8 1/2, this is 5 1/2, and I'm going to fold it in half. And when I do that, I find if I line it up straight, I get a straighter fold. And I want to get a nice crisp fold on this, so I'm going to use my bone folder. All right. So we're going to start with our collar, which is this piece right here. And there's just an itty bitty piece of paper holding it together. And that's on purpose. It allows us to kind of move this where we need it. I want this in the center of my card. So I'm going to rely on my grid paper. And I've made lots of these, so I know this is where I want it to land. This kind of black line here is my center mark. So I'm not gluing yet. I'm actually just going to lay this on here, like so, and trace it. Says I looking for my pencil. Real light trace, just like that. Then I'm grabbing my snips. Oops, we don't want to lose that. We need it for later. And I'm going to open that up. That's the collar of our shirt. So I'm going to cut on this side of my cutting line. Because if I make my opening bigger than that, it's okay. It's going to be covered up by the collar. But if I make it smaller than that, then you can still see it, and what's the point of cutting it out? So there we go. That is done. And that gives us the center, which really helps us continue with the card. So I'm going to open this up. moving my pieces out of the way. And if you're working on a card like this and you can make sure it lays flat for you and has some kind of guide, that's going to make it easier. I'm actually grabbing my dies and they're just going to hold my card in place for me while we work. So this is, and you know I used to do a lot of sewing, but right now I can't tell you what this is called. But it's that folded over piece of flap of fabric on your shirt front that has the buttons on. And we're going to run some glue down it. I'm using today our multi-purpose liquid glue. It's my favorite. If you've seen any of my Facebook lives, you know I kind of depend on it. But for a card like this, it's perfect. I don't know, I'd grab another glue anyway because I'm going to need to kind of make sure things are lined up. And I have what I call a moment's grace to move things around where I need them. So that this front, let's call it the button tab, is in place. Now we're going to go back and we're going to add this collar. These flat pieces are lining up with the flat of there. They don't need a lot of glue and they don't need to be glued all the way down because your collar isn't going to lay flat. So I'm just gluing the top and I'm attaching them to the top and kind of lining them up. See what I mean about that thing letting me move it around? To that V that I have there. Okay, next we need buttons for our shirt. And as I said, they let me cut them out all at once. You could glue these buttons on, but I put a piece of self-adhesives like sticky sheet on the back. You can find that in the Stamping Up catalog on the page that has all of our adhesives, which is 162. It's the only page number I know in the catalog, but I go to that page a lot. So I have 6 buttons here. And I'm making a lot of these cards, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time each time lining up my buttons. So I did it once and marked it on another strip of paper. Now I just need to use this as my guide to put them down. Notice I wrote top on here because if I would have started from this end, it's not going to work, and I needed that reminder. So that's going to go there as my, yep. And then what I mean by adhesive sheet, it's a sticky sheet you put on the back. It's not sticky on this side. But when I peel it off, I have, think of like a little sticker. So it's going to hold in place for me. I'm using the end of my Take Your Pick tool. If you didn't have a Take Your Pick tool, first I would say why not? I'm not sure I could craft without it. But if you don't, you know what, the point of your snips would work great also. Or some of you may have better dexterity than I do, and you can just do it with your fingernails and your fingers, and good for you. And this is going here. Like so. And it's just quicker now that I have these laid out. And like I said, I love this card. I'm going to be making lots of them. Birthday cards, come Father's Day. I think it'd be a really fun Father's Day card. Do you know what else I think it would be fun for, this or the suit one, is if you are making a card for like a college graduate who's going out into a job where maybe they have to wear a tie or a suit. This would be a great congratulations or get used to your new wardrobe kind of card. Okay, so this is almost done. There we go. And now, if you're looking really close, you can see embossed in there are like 4 little thread marks where it would go, but it's really not that noticeable. So I wanted to add buttonholes. I grabbed the Stampin' Right marker and I grabbed the black. And really any fine tip marker would work. I'm going to use the marker end, not the brush end. And I'm not patient enough, honestly, to do 4. I'm just going to do 2. And they don't have to be perfect. People are not going to be looking at the dots on your buttonholes. It's just an overall effect you're giving it. There we go. Okay, let's move on to suspenders. I have cut. So the same die piece I used to cut this, I cut these 2 pieces with. There's one of them I ran it through 3 times. There is this little itsy bitsy piece right here. It's meant to be where the pocket is on a suit, but it also works for this. So I'm going to cut it in half. And this is, if you've seen suspenders or braces, did you know the difference is a suspender is attached with a clip and a brace is attached with buttons like sewn right inside the waistband of dress pants. Little, you know, a little trivia for you today. but there's a clip sometimes on them. So I wanted them to land in the same place, and I'm going to just move to make sure I'm in your camera view, but I don't want to move my shirt here. We can do it right here. So I marked on the back, this is the template I showed you that I'm using for buttonholes. On the back, I marked where this should go. That way when I line up my suspenders, they're going to be in the same place. And again, I put adhesive sheet on the back of this. So this is silver foil I'm using. When we get done, I'll show you a card I did with them in gold foil. And I'm just laying it across here. Now they're longer than I need, but that's okay. It makes it easier to trim them. It's easier to trim than if I would have cut those the exact width and then I didn't have it straight, you'd see part of the suspender. Not a look. Not the look we're going for. So we're going to do this one more time. I have the second half, peeling it off. Once you die cut your pieces, this card goes together really fast. And it's so much fun. I love that none of the pieces other than your card base are very big. This is a great card to use up some scraps of paper. Because really, is there any color a bow tie can't be in? Okay, so now I have that, and I'm going to just trim even with the suspender my silver foil. That one's going there. And we're going to trim this one up too, like so. Now we're going to use that little template I made one more time. How versatile is this little piece of paper? To get your suspenders on evenly, I'm going to lay that against what this fold is where the end of my card would be. And we're going to add a little bit, again, of the liquid adhesive on the back. Not a lot. This is a really strong adhesive once it dries. So that's going there, and I'm lining this up at the top of my card, like so. Then we're going to take this. Doesn't that look, it already pops, doesn't it? We're going to take this and put it over here and do exactly the same thing. And believe it or not, we're really almost done with this card. So that's there. Yep, I'm just making sure I have this straight. And then this is going to line up against it. There we go. All right. Now I can pop this up because it doesn't have to lay straight anymore. We'll get that out of the way. And then I'm going to open my card and just trim. So I'm trimming from the bottom here. There and there and there. Get those pieces out of the way. And if I wasn't quite exactly at the top, this is an easy way to fix that. So as you can see, I have a touch of blue sticking up here. Ooh, just a little bit of white there. We'll trim that, and we'll trim this. Well, that was easy. All right, so our suspenders are not quite done. I wasn't sure how these went, honestly. It didn't look right this way, but it didn't seem right this either. So I went to the male fashion expert in our house, which would be my husband, and he explained to me that they needed to go this way because they would like clip or snap up here. This is where you'd push them to open them. So I learned something today. When we were dating, bow ties were all the rage. Dino had all kinds of bow ties. There we go. And this one. That goes there. And here is our bow tie. I'm going to just open it up a little bit at where the, like the other side of where the knot would be, and I'm putting a dimensional back here. You could use our mini dimensionals, but our regular ones fit too. So the trick with using a regular one is you just need it to be flat. You don't want the pointed side up, you want a flat side. So I'm going to put the flat side there and the flat side there, and it just fits. Someone was thinking when they designed this. Now there's also a skinnier bow tie in the dies, like if you were doing, excuse me, something dressy like a tuxedo. Okay, I just have to say, with a touch of glue on there, how cute is this card? Like, it gets your attention right away. And then we're going back to our envelope flap, and we're just using the back of the envelope flap as our guide, and we're trimming. just like that. This is such a great use of those paper scraps, but the whole card really is. Like I said, there's nothing too large used on any of these pieces, so this is a great card for scraps. So there's our card. I bet you know someone who would love to get this card. Do you have a bow tie guy in your life? Let me show you some other cards I did with this. This is the one I showed you at the beginning. So there's the red. This one, I know I've been really playing with it. I have a lot. I didn't do a solid. I used one of the print papers that comes in the paper pack that coordinates with this set. It's the well-suited bundle. There's a gray one. Can you tell I love the blue? This is a different plaid that goes with the blue. And then this one, I thought looked very dapper, but I didn't like the silver foil with it, so I grabbed the copper foil. I hope you've enjoyed my video today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're looking for new card ideas, I include a new card project with a supply list and directions in my Sunday night email. You can sign up for my email on my blog, scrappingwithjoni.com. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate a like on the video below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, keep crafting.